Today we're going to be talking about how I reached 10,000 followers on my Instagram account, which should be a very happy video, but it's kind of rainy and gloomy out today. And to be totally honest with you, I just got done crying about how stressed I am about my YouTube channel. So quarantine mood, can you relate? But in all seriousness, I hope that you're all doing well. Let me know in the comments how you're feeling these days, because I legit want to check in on you guys. I know it's kind of a hard time right now for everybody, and I'm freaking out because of everything. To the point of this actual video, and not just me complaining about my emotional inner life, I am gonna tell you the I think I came up with 3. I need to check. Oh no, 5. Today I'm gonna share with you the 5 main reasons why I think I was able to grow from 0 to 10,000 followers on Instagram. So let's dive into it. Let's chat about it, and I'm gonna try my best not to cry. I'm so close. So here's the thing that I want to preface this whole conversation with. There are a lot of different growth strategies for Instagram, and I share about many of them on my YouTube channel all of the time. But what I want to focus on in this video is exactly what the title is, and that is how I personally grew my Instagram following to 10,000, because I think that depending on the niche you're in, what your goal is, and what your different content offerings are, you're going to use different growth strategies to get to that point. So not everybody is going to take the same path, and I think different strategies work for different niches. So that's why I just want to say there's other ways to grow. What I'm going to share with you in this video are not the only 5 ways that you can get to 10,000 followers on Instagram. I just want to be honest and share with you this is how I did it, or this is how I think that I did it. The very first thing that I need to mention, because I think that it would be remiss not to discuss this right off the bat, and that is my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel and my Instagram grew simultaneously. My YouTube channel is obviously a lot bigger. It has a larger following than my Instagram account, and people started following me on Instagram because they found me on YouTube. I would probably guess the majority of people that follow me on Instagram found me first through YouTube. Now, this doesn't mean that like my Instagram growth strategies haven't helped, because just because somebody follows me on Instagram because they found me on YouTube doesn't mean they're going to be engaged with my content. So that's where having really solid engagement strategies in place and then actually creating content on Instagram that is worthwhile hitting the follow button for is also what's going to make that happen. But the fact is, and here's where the part where you can implement this comes in, it's a lot easier to get your content found on platforms that are inherently more discoverable. So platforms like YouTube, or even creating a blog that is going to be found through Google searches, or creating a podcast. Those kinds of things are a lot more what I call discoverable, because people are out there actually searching for content on a particular topic. Whereas Instagram, it's a lot more of a passive experience where people tend to just keep interacting with the content they've already been following, and maybe they'll start following someone new if they're browsing through a hashtag, or if somebody they're following, tags someone or recommends someone for them to check out. But otherwise, you kind of just keep on vibing with the people you're vibing with. Whereas on platforms like YouTube or podcasting or blogs, people are usually seeking out specific content, and they're in the mind space where they're looking for something new. And so that is why, I've been able to grow my YouTube channel to 50,000 subscribers, but my Instagram is still at 10K. And I think that is just truly because YouTube is a more discoverable platform where you can really use search engine optimization in order to grow your following. Whereas on Instagram, the SEO part is only a small component, in my opinion, of how to grow. Therefore, what I would recommend you doing if you are in the early stages of growth on Instagram and you want to get to that 10K mark, and if you want to take, notes from my own journey, what I would recommend is actually simultaneously starting a second platform, one that is a little bit more discoverable. So choose, a podcast, a blog, a YouTube channel, depending on what medium of communication is sort of more in your wheelhouse. So if you love talking on camera, YouTube would be awesome. If you like talking but you don't like the visual side, you just want to, record yourself talking, podcasting is obviously for you. And if writing is your thing, then seriously, I would say start a blog. Like, you don't have to feel like blogging is dead just because it's 2020. I will say probably the second reason that people find me on Instagram outside of my YouTube channel is people who find my blog posts through Pinterest and then eventually start following me on Instagram. I was kind of blown away by this too, because I didn't think that would happen very much, because I literally only have 4 blog posts on my website, but I have one blog post in particular that's all about how to start a YouTube channel, even if you're scared of doing it, like how to get over your fear and just start. And I have advertised that extensively on Pinterest because I have a couple different graphics that I use and pin to a lot of different boards, and I continuously am repinning that content. And people have found me through that pin. They've read the blog post, they go to my Instagram, and probably, every couple weeks I get a DM from someone saying, hey, I loved your blog post about how to get over your fear of starting a YouTube channel. I'm starting mine now, I really appreciate it, so I wanted to follow you on Instagram. And those are just the people that actually message me about it. So I'm assuming if I get DMs that frequently about that blog post, that means there's a lot more people that find me from that post that just never reach out and message me. So don't underestimate the power of having a blog that is SEO friendly and marketed really well on Pinterest. I feel like blogging and Pinterest are like this. You can't have one without the other. So just keep that in mind if you're trying to do some SEO friendly content that's going to be discoverable to help you grow on Instagram. All right, now that I've talked way too long about how YouTube has helped me grow on Instagram, let's talk about the second thing, which is providing a very specific value to your followers. I know that I talk about having a niche to death, and there's only so many times you can kick that horse, but I'm a vegetarian. I do think it's important that you have a very specific value add that you give if your Instagram is too generic or just about your life in general and not about something that people can take away from it, like inspiration, education, encouragement, or entertainment. Then people aren't gonna press the follow button because they won't really know why they should follow you. So in my case, what I did is obviously providing social media marketing tips and advice and strategies. That has been the bulk of my content for over a year now, and I offer that information on my Instagram as well as on my YouTube channel. So I think people know exactly what they're getting into when they follow me, and that's helped me get to 10,000 followers. The third thing that's helped me grow to 10K is really engaging with and getting to know my audience. Honestly, this is something that I really want to start improving on my YouTube videos because I know that I'm way better at this on Instagram than I am on YouTube. So speaking of that, if you are still watching the video at this point, when I've already been talking to my camera for 8 minutes, I would love for you to comment below and introduce yourself because let's be real, if you made it this far in the video, you're the real MVP and I want to know who you are. So just say hello in the comments. Tell me your name and where you're from because legit, I want to be friends. So I want to know who you are because I feel like on Instagram, I really have this sense of I recognize people's usernames. In a lot of cases, I know their username and I know their first name because I've talked to them in the DMs. If their name isn't their username, obviously. I know what their passions are, what their struggles are. There is a group of at least 20 people that I know on a personal level. I would say I am friends with them because I interact with them on Instagram so often. So I really feel like having that dedication to personal connection and relationship building is a big part of why I was able to grow my account to 10K and keep my audience so engaged, where I'm getting anywhere between 8 and 10% engagement rates on each of my posts. Which, to the untrained ear might not sound like a lot, but I promise you that is very good in terms of Instagram engagement. The average Instagram engagement is much closer to 1%. So all that being said, what you can take away from this is get to know your followers, literally know their names, know who they are. Don't get this ego perspective where you're like, oh, well, they're my followers, so they care about me and they just care about me. You need to care about them too, okay? That's what I do. These people are my friends. They're not just people that I'm like, oh, I want them to be obsessed with me or whatever. It's no, I care about these people. We have a common interest. I want to provide value to them. So I get to know them, I message them back, and I have a relationship with them. So I would recommend that you do that too. And if you have less than 10,000 followers, you have no excuse for not getting to know your most engaged followers on a very personal level. The fourth thing that I did that I really think helped in my growth to 10K followers on Instagram was being very consistent. This is important no matter what social media platform that you're trying to grow, but I really do think on Instagram, it can be so easy for people who follow you to forget about you, really quickly. If they aren't engaging with your content in the first little while of them following you and then Instagram stops showing your stuff to them, basically sayonara, because they're never gonna see you again. So it's really important to stay consistent all of the time so that the people who start following you stay engaged with you all along their journey of being one of your followers. So how can you do this? I personally schedule my posts for 3 times a week in my favorite scheduling app, which is Later. You can also do this manually, but it's just a little bit more time and effort on a daily basis. In addition to posting consistently, I also engage consistently. So I like to spend anywhere from half an hour to 45 minutes to maybe an hour a day engaging on Instagram. So that's replying to comments, going out and commenting on my followers' content, saying hello to all of my new followers, like messaging anybody who's in my notifications as a new follower. I'll DM them and say hello. There's lots of different methods that I use for engagement, and actually if you want to know more about that, you can check out this video that I made that's like my 10-minute a day engagement routine. And you just got to be consistent with all of that. I try to post every single day on my Instagram stories. I post 3 times a week on my Instagram feed, and I try to engage every single day. So make sure that you're doing that, and if you feel like, oh, I'm doing it all and I'm still not growing, just engage more, because you can always spend more time engaging. I know it can be tiring sometimes, but it is very effective. So I would recommend doing that. The 5th thing that helped me grow from 0 to 10,000 followers on Instagram is just lots and lots of time. I know this is probably the most disheartening thing to hear, because everybody wants instant gratification and we want to do things quickly and blow up overnight. But the fact is, I've had Instagram since it was released in like 2012. And yes, if you scroll back to the beginning of my profile, you will see how cringy I was in high school. And of course, I need to admit that I have not been consciously trying to grow my Instagram that entire time. In fact, in high school, I was like very protective of my Instagram, and I would only tell my immediate friends my username because I didn't want other people to like follow me for some reason. But in the past, I would say like 2 or 3 years, I have been really consciously growing my Instagram and trying to build an audience of people that are interested in the same things as me. So it's taken me like about 3 years of posting extremely consistently, engaging very consistently, and then of course growing my YouTube and my business and my blog and all that stuff in addition to that, to reach 10,000 followers. So if you feel like, oh, I've been doing this for a really long time, just keep going, because it takes a heck of a lot of time. I don't know what else to tell you. I know it's discouraging. I know that there are people that have grown way faster than me, but the reality is slow and steady and real growth takes a lot of time. Unless you can like strike lightning and go viral overnight, which some people do, but it is very uncommon. So instead of waiting around for that to happen, just put in the time, and I think that you will eventually see that growth. It takes a really long time. And that is how I grew my Instagram to 10,000 followers. It wasn't all that exciting or glamorous of a process. It was just a lot of work over many years and a lot of getting to know people and building relationships, and also offering serious value and like really useful and helpful advice in my videos, in my Instagram content. That is how I've grown my Instagram audience. So maybe you watch this hoping for some really quick and easy hacks and tips and, algorithm stuff. But the truth is, it takes a lot of time. It just takes these common sense things, putting in the work day after day, year after year. That is how you grow an audience. And to be honest with you, now I'm at the stage where I'm trying to learn what it takes to grow from 10K to 100K and beyond, because I do think that there is a little bit of a strategy shift. The stuff that I know really well, the bread and butter of my growth tactics, are the things that are not scalable. They're meant for people that are going from 0 to 100 to 1,000 to 10,000, because it means actually building relationships with people on an individual level. So now, stick around to join me on my journey of trying to figure out what it means to scale from 10K to 100K and beyond, because I really do think that I'm at a point in the game now where it's a bit of a shift to a different strategy and trying to learn what that's going to look like. So stay subscribed, and hopefully, in a year from now, I'll be able to make a video about how I grew to 100K. Let's see, maybe that's really optimistic, but I'm going to be doing a lot of experimenting and a lot of research, because if, like me, you've done any searching on YouTube for how to scale Instagram up to 100K, you'll know that there are really not a lot of videos or advice out there about the second stage of growth, just because by the nature of it, most people are in the first stage of growth. So anyway, that's a little rant on my next stage in this growth journey, but stick around to find out more. And like I mentioned before, you need a super solid engagement strategy to make all of this work. So I would recommend checking out this video next. Seriously, don't even subscribe, just go watch that video and then subscribe, because I do think it is very valuable, and I think it's going to change your mindset about how Instagram engagement can work for you. So go click on that next, Once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in this video. Okay, bye.